Hello everybody and welcome to Uprising 144K. I'm Hydrogen Man. So guys, today I'm going to show you guys some tips on how to maintain your Lourdes Hydrofix International Edition, Premium Edition, the 2018-2019 units. I found ways that, basically you can keep the machine really reliable and how to make it last a really long time. And so let me just go ahead and get started. And before I actually get started, I want to let you guys know I now have a coupon code. So if anybody wants a discount or if they just want to support the channel, I'll try to put that coupon code down below. I will say that I'm willing to support any device out there that is safe, so makes the hydrogen safely, and also a device that makes the proper levels of hydrogen so you'll actually get proper benefits. So if you see any links down below, that means that in my opinion, they're definitely safe and they're okay to use. And I'll put those codes down below. So, all right, let's get started, guys. So the very first thing I'm gonna let you guys know is you wanna make sure to not leave the machine on for super long periods of time. Now, can you do that? Yes, you can do that. But in my opinion, it won't last as long if you do. And sometimes there's just no need. I mean, I literally used to leave the machine on all night, all day, and it's fine, but it's kind of like leaving your car on, just sitting there idling in your driveway or something. A lot of times what I do is what I'm doing right now, which is I just have water in the pitcher. It's totally ready to go. And if I go grocery shopping, for example, and I know I'm going to be back in half hour to an hour, and I know I want water when I get back home, I'll turn on the device. And then when I come home, it's totally ready to go. The other thing that I would definitely suggest to you guys is, let me show you actually, make sure that when you plug in the power to either plug it in directly into the wall, or if you're gonna use some type of power strip, or if you're gonna use some type of extension cord, make sure it's a very high quality one. Don't get a cheap $5 one. It has to be high quality, maybe a really fat cord on it. And let me explain why. A lot of people may be thinking, why is that important? So when you make hydrogen, you have to understand this is the #1 device in the world, and it's the #1 device in Japan, and they're obviously really picky when it comes to hydrogen. The thing about it is that the quality of hydrogen that you're going to be making, obviously a lot of it has to do with the metal technology, which I know that the metals that they use for this, like nobody makes this type of metal in the world. It's a very specialized metal so that it'll be safe and you don't leach metals. But that's not the only intricate part about this device. It's the way that it regulates the electric flow. You don't want to over electrolyze the water. And so they know this. So they have a special computer and it helps regulate the electric flow. Now, when they originally built a device, apparently it was never supposed to be sold out of Japan because you see, Japan has the most stable electrical grid system in the world. And so they weren't ever expected to sell this device out of Japan, but there was such a high demand for it, they eventually made what's called an international version of the device. Apparently it was more expensive to make, but this is one of the ways that you can know that it's an international version. It'll say Premium Edition. That's pretty much the best way to know. And so for the international editions, again, the power source is very important in order to keep it reliable and do what it's supposed to be doing properly. So that way you get, that real, in my opinion, medical grade hydrogen. Obviously, like I stated before, not only is this used in Japan, but they use this in medical clinics. And the way that you regulate that electric flow really matters. Most of the devices that I've ever seen, they just basically send power and electrolyze the water, but they're not regulating it properly, and that's something that I've learned that's very important, and just about no device out there does that. So let's go ahead and move on to the next point, which is you want to make sure to keep the pins clean. So let me show you how to actually lift the pitcher, because there is a way to do this properly. You would lift it straight up and then come straight towards you. See how I have it right above this little towel here? Or you can lift it straight up and you can actually go to the right. Now, what you would do, let me show you why you would do this, and make sure that when you pour the hydrogen water, don't do it when the pitcher is over the device. And let me show you why, actually. Because there's these pins over here, guys, and there's some very strange things in our water these days, and I can maybe go into more of that later. But the stuff that's in our water, when it gets on these pins, it's not a good idea because the computer will literally detect that. And again, if you guys want to know more about what's in the water, I've been talking to some labs and there's some very sinister stuff going on. But if you get water on here, just wipe it up. I mean, I have a dry tissue, just wipe it up, dab it. Don't push it super hard to bend the pins because you don't want to bend those pins. And you can check them at the end of the day or throughout the day. If you ever think you get water, it's really easy to just literally wipe them off. It's like no big deal. In fact, that brings me to another point. Make sure to keep your tray clean. If you have dust in it or whatnot, you might want to clean that up, and I'll show you some tips on that in a second. When you put the pitcher back on the device, make sure it's lined up right. If you notice, there's a little marker here on the pitcher and a marker on the device, and look, they line right up. The pitcher only goes on one way. So if it's crooked, you will again potentially hit those pins, and then you can bend those pins, and then they're not making the proper contact, and then obviously the machine won't run properly. So always make sure to put the pitcher on and off properly. Do not set the device on a towel or a tray or anything for that matter. You just want it on the counter. You want proper space apparently for the airflow. I have a tray that I have in front of it like this, so when I do pour the water, it will drip. So in my opinion, that's one of the downsides of this design, but they did it for a reason, because it was the best way to make the hydrogen water, because this doesn't have any electrical current going through the water that you'll actually be drinking. And so, I pour it over this, and yeah, this gets wet, and that's just the way that it is. It's a very small price to pay for obviously high quality hydrogen water that's going to give you the best results. Now, if you spill anything on the device where it shouldn't be, that's another reason I have the towel. If you ever spill it around the computer, make sure to literally wipe that up immediately. You don't want water getting into those areas, which kind of brings me to my next point too. When you are going to put water inside the filter area, these days I would suggest using distilled water because of all the weird things in the water these days. But at least filtered water. But there's there's strange stuff in the water that's going to be affecting things in the future. You guys are going to find out more about this. But when you put the water, make sure it goes straight in here and that you have the proper level. The proper amount of water. If you spill it outside anywhere, wipe it up immediately. If the filter's not in here, do not pour the water down that chute unless the filter's in here, because it will get routed a different way and can potentially damage something. Plus, you really need this filter. It's part of the maintenance of the device. I personally have like a little cup next to mine, and I have a pre-measured. So I have 50 mLs when I need it, 100 if it's totally dry, 50 when it's not completely dry and it's asking for the water. So all this information is in your owner's manual, but it's just something that's really kind of good to know. All right, the other thing that I would like to let you guys know is about the rubber plug. So there's a rubber plug in the back here. I keep the tape on it so that it won't pop out by accident. A lot of people will even take it out, and that's a bad idea because they'll spill water everywhere that's in the tray. And then your machine's gonna be sitting in a puddle of water. That's a bad idea. You only take that out when you're either gonna clean the tray and drain the water, or you take it out when you're gonna, again, drain the water in order to travel with the device. It's one of the nice things about the device. It's pretty small. It's actually pretty easy to travel with, so that's pretty awesome. All right, so that's in regards to the rubber plug. Proper cleaning. So when you do a citric acid cleaning, I'll put a link for my other videos on how to do the proper citric acid cleaning and how to clean your pitcher, which you really should do every day or every other day at least. You have to use a citric acid that is specifically designed for like distillers. I prefer something made in America. In fact, I'll show you an example here. This is one of the ones that I was using, which appears to be sold out. But here, you want it to be anhydrous citric acid, food grade's even better, and it's 100% made in America, and it's obviously used for distillers, guys. It's a descaler, professional grade. This is the kind of stuff that I would personally use for my Hydrofix, because again, this is a very specialized device. Some people don't think it looks like much, but you don't realize the computer, you don't understand the metal technology, and just their overall design, even down to this special type of filter in there. They had to design a lot of things that were a first in the industry. And so it's just really important to know how to use the device, and then it'll definitely give you all these crazy benefits if used properly and maintained properly, and it'll run for a very long time. Okay, the very next thing that I would suggest is when you are going to move the device, it has water in the tray. So if you're going to move it, I would personally take the pitcher straight up and then pull it towards you. And the water in here, you want to move it very cautiously and slowly so that water doesn't spill out. If you overfill it, or you'll spill out, and again, you'll be sitting in a puddle of water. Or if there's water in here and you move it aggressively, it'll spill over also. So it's really, really important to not move it aggressively when there's a lot of water in there, and to put the proper levels. Okay, if, for example, and see, it actually needs water right now, so there the light's flashing, and my pre-measured cup, here, let me show you guys how I do it. So see, I have there's already water in the device, which means that I only need 50 cc's. And I make sure, it's hard to hold the camera here and do this, but I make sure that I pour it just right in the center. See? It's pretty easy. It's not complicated, guys, but you do have to know what you're doing. And when you do, you get used to it. It's like driving a car. You just kind of get used to it. The other thing that I would suggest is do not twist the pitcher when it's on the device. So let's say you want to take the top off because you want to put water in it. Don't twist the top off when the pitcher's on here. Again, lift the pitcher off, set it down somewhere to either put the inhalation kit or add water in it. Because if you twist it while it's on the device, again, you can cause potentially some damage underneath the device. And that's pretty much about it. The only other thing I would say is make sure that you break it in properly when you first get it and put the proper amounts of water in there. If you're going to be gone for long periods of time, you could disconnect the power to it, things of that nature. I will say that the machine, I've discovered something very interesting about this machine, and I've owned a lot of hydrogen devices. This machine is doing something very unique that I've never seen any other device do. Apparently it has to do with the way that it makes hydrogen, and because it's just so effective and so efficient at what it does, it will expose things within the water that you're using, which is actually incredible. I'm not going to go into it right now, but if you guys want to know more about that, I've talked to a few people and they're always saying, "I'll make a video." If you guys are interested in that, comment below. And I'll make a video about what it's doing because it's actually incredible and it's helped a lot of people, including myself, know whether there's something in your water that needs to be filtered out. It'll let you know whether, for example, your filter's old and it's due, or a container that you're using has something not good in it, or there's a lot of different things. So again, if you want that, just let me know and I'll make a video about it. Beyond that, thanks for supporting the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification button. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time on the next video.